Hey everybody, it's Romania Black. So when I started this channel, I had already watched a few anime. And over the last year and a half that I've had this channel, I've had several people on Patreon say, would you go back and review series that you've already watched? And some of the series are really long, and I'm like, that would take a lot of time. But there's a couple short series that I have watched that I'm like, I could go back and rewatch that. And so it's summer, so my school schedule for work is a little bit more relaxed. So I'm like, I have a little bit more time this summer. What do I want to go back and rewatch? And the very first thing that came to mind was Yuri on Ice. It's my comfort anime. I freaking love this series. The OP is like ingrained into my brain where it just plays on a loop over and over again. And so I debated doing like a Discord watching of this and like a stream of it. But one, my internet sucks and streaming is always a calamity and a risk in itself, but also so many of you are from so many different time zones and work schedules that it would be nearly impossible for me to find a time and day that worked for more than a handful of people. And while that would be cool, I was like, you know what would be better? I just want to record myself looking at the series, reviewing it, and just discussing it, and then talking with you guys about it. And in the comments, anytime you want to, you can come in and put in a comment, watch the video anytime you want. You won't miss out on it. So I thought that would be pretty fun. And so I decided to do Yuri on Ice. It's Christmas in July or June or just summer. So this summer I'm going to be recording these episodes for Patreon first in the month of June, and in the month of July they'll be out on YouTube. So you guys, if you guys are patrons, you get it a month early. So it's gonna be fun. I'm gonna do 2 episodes a week. So we're gonna basically have 6 weeks of Yuri on Ice, the dub. I'm doing the dub because I've already watched the series. I've already had my initial reaction to it off screen. So this will just be a fun little jaunt through the dub, and that way I can talk to you all about things with the show as we watch it. I honestly haven't watched Yuri on Ice in about half a year. It's been about 6 months. It's been since last fall that I've watched it. I've rewatched Free this spring, gearing up for the movie, but I haven't rewatched Yuri on Ice since last fall. So maybe it was around December when I last watched Yuri on Ice. But it's been about 6 months, so why not? It's our mid-year rewatch of Yuri on Ice. And if you've never seen the dub before, I love the dub. The dub for Yuri on Ice is absolutely my favorite. I like the sub a lot. I like the sub voice actors, but the Yuri on Ice dub, it's kind of like the Skate the Infinity dub. It's just one of those comfort dubs. It's like the Sasaki de Miyano dub. You just watch it and you're like, this just feels good. So if you've never seen the dub before, it's a trip. It's fun, especially Chris. When we get to Chris and JJ, they're a trip on the dub, let me tell you. It's going to be a lot of fun. But yeah, we're going to watch Yuri on Ice episodes 1 and 2 here and talk about it, and then just do like a little discussion at the end, and that's going to be it. So I'm pretty excited. I have the Blu-ray, but I am watching on Crunchyroll just because for streaming purposes, it's a little bit handier. But yeah, I hope you all enjoy, but let's not waste any more time. I'm ready to dive back into this series and rewatch episodes 1 and episode 2. So I hope you all enjoy this. This should be fun for this summer. So we're going to watch episodes 1 and 2 of Yuri on Ice, the English dub, here in 3, 2, 1. Let's go. So yeah, I love this show. It's gonna be fun rewatching it. I haven't rewatched it, like I said, in about 6 months, and already I'm like, oh, I know why I binged this now, because it's so easy to binge. You just want to keep watching it. And yeah, I can put this show on and just let it go. That ED and OP is so good. So I wrote some notes just to talk about the show and talk about this going back through here. But one of the things that I love that this show tackles very early on, it doesn't follow up with it a lot because it doesn't, I mean, that's not the central theme of the show, obviously, but talking about male body image, especially for athletes, I feel like that's something that this show, it's bold in discussing it and not just saying it, but actually showing Yuri, like he clearly, like them saying like he gains weight easily. He's always like binge ate. He's binge ate before, like when he's nervous and stressed. But the reason he's been able to kind of make it work is because he also, when he's stressed, he goes and practices, so he burns off that energy, but then he gets into a slump. And so it tackles on like a real issue. Like there are some people who just naturally gain weight easily. And if you're an athlete, especially something like figure skating, where your physique is incredibly important, like that's such a big deal. And I love this show doesn't shy away from the character, from Yuri, like having to deal with that and like that body image and trying to get back in shape to get ready to skate. Like I like that they just they tackle it right off the bat, right? So it's interesting. And I feel like there's a lot of people who can kind of relate to Yuri in that regard and his struggle to like maintain himself. Again, they don't focus they really only focus on these first couple episodes while he loses that weight to get back in shape. But they don't focus on it throughout the series, which makes sense because that's not the point of the story. The point of the story isn't Yuri getting his physique in shape. The point of the story is Yuri coming out of his shell and becoming a skater, the skater that he's always wanted to be, with Victor's help, and along the way developing feelings for Victor and their relationship. So the body image is just like something to start off with, but it contributes to his low self-esteem at the start, which indicates where his character is at the start of the journey, so that when you get to the end, when he's super confident about himself and like on the national stage, you can see how much he's grown and how far he's come and how self-confident he is, and he's not concerned about his body image anymore, at least not to the extent that he was when he started. It's that's no longer a focus for him. So yeah, the English dub is great. It's so cute and fun. I'll probably, for the next several videos though, put in the Blu-ray so that we can get subtitles. So if you needed subtitles for this set of episodes, I'm sorry. I do apologize. I tried to put subtitles on Crunchyroll and they didn't give them to me. So I'll probably, for the remainder of the episodes, put on subtitles on the, put subtitles in the videos through the Blu-ray. So we'll just do that. That'll be easier, right? But the Russian accents kill me. I've had a lot of people say that Victor sounds like Gru from Despicable Me. He does, but I can look past it for this because it fits, the voice acting fits his personality, which it's hard, right? It's hard because Victor's original voice actor is Junichi, who is the voice actor for Jaeha and the voice actor for like a lot of other characters that are really good. So it's like, if you like the sub, I totally get it. But the dub just has a special place in my heart because it's so wholesome and cute. And the voice is actually, Yurio's dub voice is amazing. I freaking love it. I know that Tsukishima's voice actor plays him in the Japanese cast, but he's so good. It's like, yeah, Victor's dub voice is just perfect. I freaking love it. It's wonderful. And so, yeah, Yuri dealing with his self-esteem issues right off the bat. It's something that comes up pretty early on in the series. And it's something that Yuri struggles with throughout most of the series until Victor helps him come out of his shell. But that's one thing that I love about Yuri, is that he starts from one place in the series and then gradually, slowly but surely, and through he grows and comes out of his shell and becomes a new person and becomes, I think, the person they always wanted to become. And what's interesting is that the figure skating routines we'll get to in the rest of the season, that was the one thing I was worried about. I'm like, are we really going to see the same figure skating routine like over and over again? Won't that get boring? But it doesn't, because it changes a little bit each time, and each time he performs it, he comes a little bit more out of his shell and he gets a little bit better and a little bit different. And so the figure skating routines are a nice measure and metaphor of him coming out and becoming more himself and not being so withdrawn. It's great. I forgot that there was like a year that went between that very opening scene at the Nationals and when he comes back home. There was a whole year that passed where he graduated and gained all the weight. I forgot about that. So he has the homecoming. God, it's so relatable because when he says, oh, hey, people who cheered me on just because I'm from Hosetsu, it's like, yeah, God, that's so relatable. Like, when I did the speech team, we'd go to nationals and people would cheer us on just because we were locals. They're like, oh yeah, it's that kid from the local area, ha ha ha. And we'd be like, you guys don't even know what we're doing. You're just cheering us on because we're from the same town as y'all. So that is so relatable. It's great. But I like that we have the little small town dilemma of Hosetsu like losing interest in skates, and Minako. I like Minako a lot, but her having the dilemma of the kids don't want to skate anymore. They're just not inspired. And then of course once Victor and Yurio come over there, then that gets all the press. And it's funny because Yuri's journey like affects every place he goes to, and like his hometown gets affected and gets this like reinvigorated spirit towards like the ballet studio and the ice skating rink because Yurio and Victor show up. So yeah, the sister is a really interesting character in this, and she's only in, again, the very beginning of the episodes, and then we don't really see her again throughout the rest of the season until the very end. She's fascinating, and that scene where she like has the cigarette and is asking what he's gonna do. For some reason, it reads like a Studio Ghibli movie. It reads like a scene out of a Studio Ghibli film where she's just sitting there, like the quiet atmosphere and how he's just sitting there and she's like, so what are you going to do? You spent an extra year on that degree. You're not going to use it, are you? And she almost seems not antagonistic, but you're like, is she ribbing her brother? And then she makes the comment, she's like, I will support you as long as you keep doing what you want to do. As long as you keep skating and you're passionate about it, yeah, I'll support you. But if you're just going to come back here and wallow and not do anything, then you need to get to work. Like, either chase after what you love and do it, or get a job and help out. Like, she's like, I'll support you as long as you're doing what you're passionate about. But if you're just going to coast, not going to work. And I love that. The sister is really interesting. So yeah, the family... The idea of the family supporting him looking like his mom. I love the old man, like he just wants to watch a soccer game. Minako's like, no, we're gonna watch ice skating. But then we have Yuko. And Yuko is she's so relatable as a character because I feel like all of us know that person from back. If this was like the funny thing is this is like a rom-com, right? It's like a stereotypical romantic comedy, but instead of Yuri falling in love with the girl back home, coming back home and falling in love with the girl. No, he falls in love with the celebrity idol coach that is coaching him, right? So it's like a total role reverse. It's like a total subversion of what you expect from like a romantic comedy. It's the best subversion, right? But I like Yuko because she kind of represents like the girl that stayed home and like had a family locally. And she like runs the ice skating rink. And what I like about it is that he never looks down on her, and her position in that boat is never viewed as a bad thing. Ever. It's really not. In fact, the three girls, them videotaping him is the whole reason him and Victor really got together. It was the push that Victor needed to go and see Yuri. So I like that this show doesn't suggest that it's a bad thing that she stayed home and had a family and took care of the ice skating rink. Like, it doesn't ever present that as a bad thing because some people do that and it's totally fine. Not everybody can go off to the national competitions and be a pro player. Some people have to stay back. And series like Haikyuu and this series, they portray that like, as long as you do what you're passionate about, it doesn't matter where you end up at. And so that's kind of represented in Yuko. It's represented in Yuri. It's represented in Yurio. Like, doing what you're passionate about, no matter where you end up at or what your profession is, it's fine as long as you're happy what you're doing. And Yuko seems very happy. Right. So we have all the childhood scenes, which I really like. And at first, when I first watched this show, I was like, oh, so is Yuri going to like Yuko and that be a thing? And then you instantly are like, oh no. So I know that there's probably a lot of questioning of, is Yuri gay or is he bisexual? Is he demisexual? Like, how does it work? It's clear that he had a crush on Yuko because he like gets all blushy when she's like, I want to watch you skate and stuff. And she says she's pretty. I always thought Yuri was kind of bisexual and Victor was just gay. Like, I always thought Yuri was kind of bi and just happens to like Victor more. That's just how I took it because you clearly see he likes Yuko, but then he clearly likes Victor. So that's how I always took that scene. But, And I love the transformation. Like the one line that Yuri says where he's like, will you watch me? And he sounds so pitiful. He's like, will you watch me? And then you compare that to like later on in the series when we'll see him be like, don't take your eyes off me. It's like, oh, that transformation is just, it's so good. It's so freaking good. And then just the dance foreshadowing, that opening dance scene, I want to just sit there and watch it because it's like all the foreshadowing of Victor and Yuri at the very end and showing how they like sync up together in their thoughts and their aspirations and dreams. It's like, oh, it's so good. And then, Minako being like, Victor is... I like that Minako in her like drunken rant is like, Victor's way too worldly for this dance. This dance needs to be done by like a dewy-eyed, innocent boy. I wonder who that could be. And it's like cut straight to Yuri. And so then, I like that Yuri tells Yuko, he's like, well, I got depressed, but then getting depressed got old. And so he's like, I decided to go back to loving skating. He's like, I realized that I love skating and I wanted to get back to it. So I like that Yuri admits, he's like, yeah, I was depressed and I didn't know what to do. And he's like, and then I just felt like I needed to do something. And skating was what he loves. So he's like, I need to go back to that. So he used Yuri's routine to get him motivated again. And that's so good. I will never get over that Yuko named her daughters Axel, Lutz, and Loop. Axel, Lutz, and Loop is the most ridiculous set of triplet names ever. I hope they're all nicknames, but I don't think they are. And then we have Nishigori, the bully who turned into the friend. I actually like this a lot because we see Nishigori as a kid and he's kind of mean to Yuri. He's kind of a bully. It's very much the James Potter to Lily and Snape sort of thing. Only in this, Snape gets with Dumbledore. That's kind of the difference. But I like in this that Nishigori starts out being kind of like a bully, and then as you watch the childhood scenes again, he pushes Yuri down at first, and then Yuko gets onto him. She's like, that's not nice. And then we see them again. Nishigori is not mean to Yuri, but he kind of like snubs his nose at Victor. He's like he's jealous. He's like, why are you messing around with Victor? Why do you like him? But then when we see him as adults, he's friends with Yuri. He's like, oh yeah. He's like, you're always welcome here. Like, you're welcome to come here and skate anytime you like. And they're friends, right? And so that's really sweet. He's like, and then by episodes 3 and 4 next week, we'll see he kind of becomes Yuri's wingman. He's like, oh, sexy. And so it's like, it's cool seeing Nishigori. It reminds me a lot of like the fox in Zootopia that was kind of like a bully. And then when Judy Hopps meets up with him again, he's like changed his tune and grown up, right? Because a lot of kids are like that. Like, I know guys that I went to high school with that were kind of bullies and then they grew up. And they weren't like that as adults. And so it is a thing, right? That just because you were a bully as a kid doesn't mean you necessarily will grow up to be like that. And it also makes sense why Yuko got with him, because he did change. He did mature, right? I feel like we could write like a whole essay about Victor's apartment. I feel like you could write a whole essay about Victor's apartment and just like how pristine it is and clean. It looks so nautical. And he's in there with his striped shirt and his dogs between his legs, just watching videos on the couch looking comfy as hell, you know. But him getting motivated by, and we find out later in episode 10, the whole drunken escapade where Yuri's like, be my coach, Victor. And it's like, and that was the push, right? He had been told to be his coach, and now he saw the potential and he was like, okay, I'll do it. And then, yeah, he never ceases to surprise me. That whole ending animation scene where Yuri, like, runs past the table and goes to the hot spring and Victor stands up and he's like, I'm going to be your coach. That is so perfect. Like, this first episode of Yuri on Ice, I watched the first episode and then I binged the rest of the season. I was hooked. I was like, I at least watched, like, 8 episodes in a row. And I think maybe I watched the last 4 the next day. But I like binge watched the first 8 episodes. Whatever was on that Blu-ray disc, the first disc, I just binged it. I was like, oh my God. I was obsessed. It was so good. But this first episode just hooks you. And then it leads into the second episode. And so we get the whole thing. The dramatic scene with the snow and the music. And he's like, Dosh Vidanya. And just, you know, leaving Yakov. And Yakov being like, you're selfish and you do your own thing. You can't be a coach. And so I like that we get, you know, Victor seems perfect on the outside, but Yakov's like, no, you're kind of self-centered and you're forgetful and you always go against orders and do your own thing. And yeah, that is kind of true. It's very true, Victor, right? But just the charm. The dub has so much charm. I love it. I love that Yurio's just an angry cat. Like that, I've watched a crack video where it was just like Yurio as he's like yelling to Yakov off screen. It's just like angry cat noises. Like Yurio is such a cat and like everything is animal print. So much tiger and leopard print. It's just, it's a style. Yurio has a style. But I love that Yakov's like, you're too selfish. You'll never be someone's coach. Never say never, right? And so I feel like Victor eating and drinking whatever he wants. Like, it's funny because Victor like just drinks and eats whenever and whatever, but we do see him practicing, so he's at least keeping his skater body, and maybe his metabolism's really high so he can burn it off. I don't know, he doesn't have Yuri's problems. I also feel like when the moving boxes all come in, was that a Neon Genesis reference? I feel like it was a reference for a character named Asuka coming in. I feel like that was a reference to her. Interesting. Nice. But Yuri's like, I'm happy, I'm nervous, I'm around my idol, oh my God. And then Nishigori's like, so this is really happening, huh? He's like trying to be Yuri's wingman, right? Because he knows, what I like about that scene with Nishigori is that Nishigori remembers how much Yuri loves Victor, and he remembers how much he cares about skating, and he's like, oh hey, look at this, you're getting your idol helping you. Like, Nishigori's just trying to do his best to be a wingman, and it's great. I like that to get back in shape it's very realistic. To get back in shape, Yuri not only does ice skating, but he does ballet with Minako. He does jogging, running, all the exercises, the cardio. Like, he just goes through. We see him doing sit-ups, like the whole routine. I love that we get glimpses of it wasn't easy. He had to really work hard to get back his physique that he had before nationals. And so, yeah, Victor tries to get to know Yuri. He's like, what about a girlfriend? Have you ever had a girl you like? Do you like Minako? And he's like, oh, I don't like Minako. We're like best friends, but no. And then he's like, have you ever had an ex-lover? He's like, no. And then I love Victor's like, let me tell you about my ex-lovers. It's like, oh God. It's like, no. And so then, I'm sorry, but Yurio, I didn't notice that until this time around when he sees the statue and he's like, creepy. And takes a picture of it. I feel I've done that on this channel so many times when we're reviewing or discussing a series and I see an image of something, I'm like, wow, that's really gory. Screenshot. Or I'm like, wow, that's really sad. Screenshot. Like, I feel like Yurio now, like, creepy. Like, just get a picture of it, right? And then I love that he can't resist the shirt. He's like, I don't want Yakov to know I'm here. That shirt's only 1,300 yen. I've got to get it. It's like, yeah. And it's a tiger with the bow tie. And so then I love when Yuri gets cocky. Like, Yuri is like, he thinks that he's got one up on me. I'm like, whenever Yuri gets like a little bit of attitude, I'm like, yeah. I'm like, show it, boy. Show that self-esteem and confidence. It's great. But then I love Yurio also says, without inspiration, you're as good as dead. If you're not inspired, what's the point? Right? And then seems painfully aware. Yeah. I like that he seems painfully aware. And Yurio, I like that Yuri practices to chill out. Like, when he's stressed, he finds, like, Victor starts to learn about Yuri from everybody else around them. And they're like, yeah, when he gets stressed, when he gets stressed, he goes to practice and that makes him better. And Victor finds out that he's no genius, but he works hard and he loves to skate. Like, that line sums up Yuri perfectly. He's not a prodigy. He's not a genius. He just works really hard and he is passionate about skating, and that carries him so much. And then that's when Victor's like, so I have to turn this piggy into a prince. It's like, he succeeds. I also like too that they tell Victor that Yuri he's a sore loser. So he's introverted and shy and quiet, but he's also a sore loser. He gets competitive and he wants to win, but he has a little bit of self-esteem issues. And Victor's like, I can work with this, right? And then the famous Eros versus Agape. The unconditional love of Agape versus the sexual love of Eros. And it's so brilliant that they give Agape to Yurio and Eros to Yuri. And he's like, you've got to continue to surprise people, right? And God, Victor gets a little cocky too. I always love the part where Yurio's like, I better win with this. And he's like, well, if I was skating it, I'd win. It's like, woo-hoo! At that point, I was like, ooh, Victor is not going to be afraid to throw punches when he tells Yurio. He's like, well, I could win with it. So are you going to be able to? You guys are surprisingly mediocre. And it's like, oh. And then seeing the growth that both of them, both Yuri and Yurio, experience from the start of this series to the end is just so good. It's going to be so much fun to watch. But yeah, and then we have the two goals. Yurio's like, if I win, you come back to Russia and you coach only for me. And Yuri's like, I just want to share a pork cutlet bowl with you. It's like, how romantic, right? How romantic. Romantic with our boys. But yeah, this is going to be a lot of fun rewatching. It's going to be a lot of fun rewatching. I really love this series. It's one of my comfort anime. This and Free are like my comfort anime. If I'm not feeling good, if I got a cold or if I got a flu or something and I want to sit down and just put something on, I will put on the dub of this or I'll put on Free. One of those two and just watch. I usually do the dub of this because I can have the dub on and I don't have to pay attention. With Free, I'm not a fan of the dub, so I like to watch just the regular subs, but it's going to get interesting. It's going to get interesting. This is only episodes 1 and 2, so I hope y'all are ready. This summer should be a lot of fun watching this series and taking notes and going back through this again. I'm pretty excited, so we shall see, right? But in any case, I'm curious to know your thoughts down below. I hope you enjoyed this review. But yeah, we're going to fangirl for the next 6 weeks. For the next 5 weeks after this, we're going to fangirl over Yuri on Ice and just have a good time with it. So in the meantime, I hope you all have a wonderful week. Please stay safe, take care, and yeah, I'll be back next week with episodes 3 and 4 of Yuri on Ice. Bye.